your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the concept of Gand-Mool Nakshatra or the Gandanta Point in the transit or in the sky. Because friends, lately a lot of planets have crossed the Gandanta Point, and ever since that event took place, a lot of you have been asking me in the comment section to make an exclusive independent video on this concept as well. So I just thought of why should not we have an exclusive discussion today on this concept. And friends, trust me on this thing, there are certain terminologies in Vedic astrology which are very important for everyone to understand, because when we talk about from a layman's perspective, anyone who does not have much knowledge or idea of Vedic astrology, you just have a basic or superficial knowledge of astrology, so there are certain terms which are strong enough to instill fear in anyone's mind. Like you have Kal Sarp dosha, you have Manglik dosha, you have Gand-Mool Nakshatra. So it becomes very important to understand the actual relevance of these terms or these concepts. So now friends, to begin with, now when we talk about the Gand-Mool Nakshatra, so this alignment gets formed because of the contribution of the nakshatras of Mercury and Ketu, and it takes place in the intersection point of the fire signs and the water signs. So let's first try to understand the nakshatras involved. So nakshatra of Mercury, which are Ashlesha, Jyeshtha, Revati. Nakshatras of Ketu, which are Ashwini, Magha and Mula. And the specific 48 minutes section of these nakshatra which falls in the intersection of the water and the fire sign. So you can look at it or start first from the Pisces section and the Aries section. So the intersecting point of the last 48 minutes of the Pisces, where you will find the Revati Nakshatra, and the first 48 minutes of the Aries, where you will find the Ashwini Nakshatra. So if you will find specifically as per the language of the classical text, you will find someone's moon to be placed over here, then you can say this thing that this person is born with his moon in the Gand-Mool Nakshatra. Now the second intersection or the second intersecting point is between the Cancer and the Leo. So again friends, the last 48 minutes of the Cancer sign, so from 29 degrees 12 minutes of the Cancer sign, where you are going to find the Ashlesha Nakshatra, and the first 48 minutes of the Leo sign, where you are going to find the Magha Nakshatra. So if in someone's chart you will find moon to be placed over here, then you can say that this person is born with his moon in the Gand-Mool Nakshatra. And the third intersecting point, friend, is the last 48 minutes of the Scorpio, where you are going to find the Jyeshtha Nakshatra, 29 degree 12 minutes to the end of the Scorpio, Jyeshtha Nakshatra, and the initial first 48 minutes of the Sagittarius, where you are going to find the Mula energy of the Mula Nakshatra. So these are the 3 points, intersecting points, where because of the contribution of these 6 nakshatra, which can give rise to the Karmic Knot, because you can translate this term, the Gandanta, in this is a Sanskrit term, you can convert it or translate it in English as the Karmic Knot. Now friends, we will get to that part later on, but first of all, it's important that if your moon is placed over here in any of these section. Now friends, just because if your moon is in the Ashwini, that does not make you a complete put you in that purview. It has to be in the 48 minutes section of the Ashwini. So the first 48 minutes of the Ashwini or the last 48 minutes of the Revati, then only you will be qualified completely as a person who is born with the influence of the Gand-Mool Nakshatra. Now friends, as per the language of our Vedic classical astrological text, is that if a kid is born in a Gand-Mool Nakshatra, it becomes very important that there should be a prescribed ritual or a puja which should be done to appease the energy of this Gand-Mool influence. Otherwise, later on in the life, it could create adversaries or it could create kind of a negative, harmful effect. Now, friends, the puja or the ritual is also very important because it needs to be done as per the language of the classical text in the initial first 27 days. By the time the kid is born, and by the time the moon is going to come back again to the same point, to the same nakshatra alignment in 27 days, so puja should be done within that time span. But friends, trust me, once in a lifetime, getting a pacifying ritual or a puja for this Gand-Mool Nakshatra influence becomes more important. So it's not like that initially, like your parents did not have much knowledge or idea of the astrology, or growing up you also did not have that knowledge, but now you are in your midlife and now you know about astrology and you got to know that your moon is in the Gand-Mool Nakshatra. So even right now as well, you can get a puja done. But once in a lifetime, getting a puja or a ritual organized or done becomes very important. Now friends, there are certain kind of myths which surround around this Gand-Mool influence, where people have gone to the extent of writing so negative around this, that if someone who is born in the Gand-Mool influence, he is not going to be good, or his energy is going to be very adversary or very harmful for this family member or this specific family member. If you are born in this like in the Ashwini section, or if you are born in the Jyeshtha section with your moon over here, then this specific family member or your energies will be very detrimental to that specific family member, which I do not feel is completely true. It is just being used in order to scare people to get or extract money out of their pockets. You just need to get one puja done. The adversary or the negative or the kind of karmic effect of that is something which we will soon come to that point. So that is one thing, friends. Now the second thing is that it's not only the moon, but I would also say that even if your Lagan or your ascendant is also being placed, you are born with your ascendant in these Gandanta point or the section which we have just discussed, then also it becomes kind of important for you that you should get a proper ritual or a puja done at least once in a lifetime. There is no haste, there is no hurry. But yes, if you will run into the dasha of that planet, if your ascendant lord's dasha is about to begin and your ascendant, your Lagan is placed in the Gandanta point, or your moon is placed in the Gandanta point, or your moon dasha is going to begin, then it becomes very important for you that in order to get the best out of your ongoing time period, you should get at least once the puja done. And friends, even the puja or the ritual is not that easy, because if you are a novice or you do not have much idea about the proper rituals and all of that, and if you get a priest to get that puja done for you, and that priest is going to tell you that okay, you need to get the soil from these 7 roads, you need to get the water from these 7 different wells, you have to get the 7 different utensils, you might be surprised. So this is how the ritual is, which needs to be followed in order to get the negative or karmic side of this Gand-Mool Nakshatra effect in your life if you want to get it pacified. Now friends, when we talk about the way it is going to influence you, so it's not only from your natal chart's perspective, but even if you will find in the transit major planets transiting through these Gandanta points. So for example, if you will find Saturn to be transiting over here, Saturn is being retrograde or Saturn is being stationary in transit in the Gandanta point, and it is retrograde as well, then these are some of the alignments which can actually make us all vulnerable in order to feel the fury of the karmic side of that specific planet. So that is equally applicable, friends, for whether Jupiter is transiting through the Gandanta point, or the Saturn is transiting through Gandanta point, or the Rahu or Ketu are transiting through the Gandanta point, that you have to keep your life very easy, kind of very organized, and what role that planet is playing in your life. Like the way, friends, I mentioned this thing at the time of the transit video as well. Like in my case, if Mars is my ascendant lord, my majority of the planets are placed in the nakshatra of the Mars. So that in itself means that if I'm going to run into the dasha of the Mars, or even within the transit, if Mars is going to be in a karmic, in a very vulnerable alignment, so that is definitely going to influence me. Same way, if your life is being governed and ruled by the planet Venus, so any entanglement of Venus in transit in these kind of sensitive places in the sky, in the Gandanta zone, then definitely, friends, you will definitely face the heat of that. So it becomes very important that you should keep your life bit relaxed, bit organized if planets in transit are going to be crossing from that Gandanta section. Now friends, we will come down to the aspect of understanding the results. So now friends, try to understand this thing, that when we talk about the karmic way energies creating trouble in your life, so never ever try to relate it with the psychological state or the equation of being rich or poor. So now the point which I'm trying to say over here is that many times what happens is that if your moon is conjunct with Saturn, and your moon is conjunct with Saturn, that too in the 8th house, that too in the 12th house or in the 4th house, so that in a way makes your personality little bit, kind of pessimistic, mood swings, or if it's taking place in the 12th house, so that is how your psychological mental state is, that you are always being fearful of conspiracy theories around you, or someone has done something wrong to me, someone is planning something ill against me. That is not the effect of the Gandanta thing or anything karmic. I will get to that point. Or let's say, for example, if you think that you are in the influence of Saturn and your career is not progressing, and you run into a charlatan or an astrologer which has got very questionable intentions, and he's just going to put everything on the Gand-Mool Nakshatra or the karmic way, so when that is also not true. Friends, when karmic energy affects us, influences us, so that is a kind of signification which can be experienced in altogether different plane. Now let me give you a little bit of the real-time examples which I have found in my research. So I still remember, friends, when I was before moving to Canada, last 1 year when I was in India, I was operating full time from a mall. I used to be operating from a mall where I used to take in the walk-in clients as well. So I still remember there was this little bit old gentleman who visited my shop, and for the consultation, one of his friend took consultation first, and he was very impressed and he brought his friend. So he came to me and he had a very specific query. So he asked me that I have 3 sons, and ever since my 3rd son has got married, and ever since this daughter-in-law, she has entered our house, I have noticed my business has suddenly got decline. My business and all of the financial income and everything has taken a very strong hit. So what do you think? Is this the stars of this youngest daughter-in-law which is going to be responsible for that? Now for me it was like a very surprised thing. I was like, sir, it's like even this question is wrong, because I know if whatever I'm gonna say, that's gonna create a effect on his psychological state, and which is going to create effect in his the family or the married life of his son. Although that was a different case when I looked in the tarot card. His doubt, his instincts were right, but it's all about the planetary vibration. And we have seen, friends, there are like so many cases. If I were to share one more experience, so once what happened, there was this one person who visited me. So he was a government employee in India, and just because he was a part of some corruption which took place, and he was responsible for that, and there was an inquiry which was put on him, and he was guilty, and he was being fearful of this thing, that whatever is gonna outcome of that inquiry, it might make him ineligible for the pension. And within India and in so many countries, for the government employees who are getting retired, the pension is something which becomes very important, because their bread and butter and their dependability for the rest of the life, old age, everything is dependent on that. And any legal matter, any court dispute and everything might make you ineligible for all the medical benefits, for all those benefits. He visited to me, he was very angry, he was very furious. It's like this is the person who is giving me all the troubles, and he is also a government employee, and I am ready to do anything. I just have to get rid of him. I was like, sir, what are you saying? I'm just an astrologer. I'm not like sitting as a hitman who can do some kills for you. It's like, no, you must be knowing something. There must be some way. So I don't know what he was inferring, or whatever his intentions or his motives were. But later on I got to know that he was very much exasperated, and he was ready to do anything, and he was looking out for some remedy or some solution from these esoteric sciences in order to get what he wanted. So After a few days, I got to know from one of the acquaintances and all of that, the guy who was in severe depression, suddenly he was happy. Everything seemed to be working in his way. And later on, after a week's time, I got to know that his young son, he died in mysterious circumstances. So he woke up in the morning, he was not feeling well, he was in IT, he was about to go at his prescribed morning shift, and his family, they took him to hospital, and just when they took him, in a few hours only, they just informed their family that, okay, you can get the body from this place and in this much time. And everyone was shocked, the guy who did not have any symptoms, any medical history, what happened suddenly. So the point which I'm trying to make over here is that, friends, when we talk about these cosmic energies, karmic energies, they have a way of coming back to you. If you're going to make use of these energies to harm someone, it will come back to you. If you have done some deeds which are not very right, it means in this life as well, there are certain alignments which are going to be coming back as a karmic retribution. Now, friends, my objective over here was not to scare you, was just to explain it to you that when we talk about the influence of these karmic planets like Rahu, Ketu or Saturn, so why we do not like them? We do not like them because they somehow decreases our free will and they increases the karmic grip, control or karmic retribution in our life. Now that does not mean that it's gonna happen or work only for your disadvantage. We have also seen so many child prodigy and so many examples and cases where someone who did not have any expertise on any exposure or any access to any specific language, but suddenly this child, he started talking in a very a different foreign language, someone who just started displaying a very exceptional musical talents or some sort of talents. So somehow, friends, whenever the karmic energies are strong in our life, their impact can be felt in so many different ways. Now coming back to this concept of the Gand-Mool Nakshatra. So now, friends, the point which I'm trying to make over here is that definitely when we talk about this axis, it is bit sensitive, because imagine even in the transit, or even if you want to understand it from the Ayurveda perspective as well, so water element and the pith and the kapha element, if it is going to get combined or your important planets are going to be in a middle of it, this is definitely going to make you a little bit vulnerable. And friends, when we talk about Ketu's energies is something which is very, very difficult to decode. You can even to an extent predict something out of the energies of the 8th house. You can even predict something on the basis of the direction of the results which someone can expect in the influence of Saturn, in the control of Saturn. But when we talk about from Ketu's perspective, Ketu completely hides the signification of that house. Like for example, I've seen so many people, someone who is have a very strong Ketu being placed in your first house, and I asked that person about the concerns of his health, and this person told me that I do not know, I've got sick and tired of getting all the tests done, and whenever I go to hospitals, to the doctors, and they always say this thing that everything is fine, but why then I do not feel healthy, why I do not feel good. So somehow, friends, when we talk about the influence and energies of nodes of Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, their grip, their influence in our life has everything to do with the past outstanding debts or liabilities which needs to be paid back. Now, friends, when we talk about from the perspective of the Mercury Nakshatras or the Ketu Nakshatra, now we will straight away come to this point. So friends, the Ketu Nakshatra influence is something for which the worship of Lord Ganesha becomes very, very important. Ketu is an energy which is very much not in a state to compromise or negotiate. It just asks complete surrender out of you. And when we talk about from the Mercury's perspective, so friends, try to understand this thing that when we talk about Ketu has everything to do with the collective. Ketu just wants to give you wholeness with the cosmos. And when we talk about from Mercury's perspective, Mercury definitely has a say in your rationality, in your intelligence, in the way your subconsciousness, your rationality, your mind function. So if you will find that your moon is in the Gand-Mool Nakshatra, that too in the zone which we just discussed, and it's in the Mercury section, in the Ashlesha, Jyeshtha or Revati. So it becomes very important for you to worship Lord Vishnu with utmost faith. So that is one thing, friends, which I want to say say regarding the concept of the Gand-Mool Nakshatra? Definitely friends, Gand-Mool Nakshatra can influence you not only in the transit, but with your moon placed over here, your ascendant being placed over here, and even in the Bhrat Hora Shastra, there is a tithi Gandanta, which has also been mentioned over there as well, like the middle of the fifth day and the fifth tithi, in the sixth tithi, the Dashmi, the 10th tithi, 11th tithi, and the Purnamasi, like the 15th and the 1st. So that is also the Gandanta point or the section as well. But the most vulnerable aspect of the Gandanta, friends, influences us if you will find your natal moon to be placed in this section, and it becomes very important for you to get the ritual or the pacifying remedy or the ritual which has been prescribed in our Vedic text, to get that done at least once in a lifetime. If your nakshatra, moon nakshatra, is falling in the purview of the Ketu, then the worship of Lord Ganesha becomes very important for you. And if your moon is falling in the purview of the Gand-Mool Nakshatra, Gandanta section, with placed in the Mercury side, then the worship of the Lord Vishnu becomes very important. Friends, at the end, after discussing all the vulnerable side of this axis of this zone in the zodiac belt, there is one benefic or positive side of this alignment, is that if you will find in someone's natal chart his moon to be placed in the Gandanta zone, or being placed in the Gand-Mool Nakshatra to be precise, and if this person is going to devote himself to the spiritual austerities or a path devoted to devotion, so trust me friends, this person can actually gain very good heights and can actually gain that sort of transcendental awareness. Because friends, like the way we say this thing, that there are certain days, certain nights which are considered as very benefic, very auspicious for religious austerity. Like you talk about the night of Diwali, you talk about the night of Shivratri, night of Holi. Same way friends, like if you have this kind of alignment in your chart, that in itself makes you capable enough of becoming a conduit for all these cosmic energies to flow through you, and you can actually use that energy not only for your spiritual elevation, but also to help and guide other people as well. So friends, this is something which I wanted to share as a part of my inputs on this concept. Whatsoever your experiences have been, or your views and your findings are on this concept, please feel free to share your inputs on the comment section of this video. I also learn and gain a lot because of your people's participation. Friends, I'm so sorry, I did not want to scare anyone via sharing these kind of esoteric, kind of experiences which I had in my consulting journey and consulting experience. But it's just like that, I wanted to make a fine distinction or difference between that. Your moon being conjunct with Saturn might make you little bit negative, pessimistic, little bit mood swing or depressive. So that is entirely different, comparing it with the karmic retribution which some people have to face. And the solution of that is, friends, the whole essence of spirituality is bringing that sort of calmness and peace over here, over your mind, and purity over here, over your heart, and completely surrendering yourself to the divine will or the cosmic laws. So friends, for further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyawad.